Australia looks likely to become the first customer for a Japanese-built warship since before the Second World War. The Nikkei Asia reports that the Royal Australian Navy is poised to acquire up to 11 of the enhanced FFM version of the Mogami-class frigates. The Royal Australian Navy Surface Combatant Fleet Review, which was published in 2024, recommended a rapid procurement of warships to replace the aging Anzac-class, which have been in service since the mid-1990s. The Type 26-based Hunter-class anti-submarine warfare frigates program remains the Tier 1 combatant capability, but the review recognized they would not be delivered fast enough, and a Tier 2 option was needed to increase hull numbers and in a shorter timescale. Although there were faint hopes in the UK that a Type 31 derivative might be an option, the only remaining alternative to the Mogami left in contention is Germany's MEKO A200 from ThyssenKrupp Marine Systems TKMS. While both vessels meet Australia's requirement for an off-the-shelf warship, the Mogami appears to have gained the upper hand. Japanese sources claim Australia has indicated its preference during a recent National Security Committee meeting, with a formal decision expected before the end of the year. The first 3 ships will be built overseas, with the remaining 8 constructed in Western Australia. Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, which is building the Mogami for the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force, is expected to deliver the first ship to the Royal Australian Navy by late 2029. MHI has already completed 8 ships for the JMSF since the first was laid down in 2019. Japanese warship construction speed far outpaces the majority of Western nations' capabilities, especially in Europe. The Mogami FFM is a 142-meter, 6,200-ton full-load vessel with a full suite of anti-submarine warfare, anti-air, and mine warfare capabilities. Featuring a 32-cell Mk41 VLS, double that of the current German proposal, and improved endurance. Like the Hunter-class, the ship is fitted with a Rolls-Royce MT-30 gas turbine but in a Kodag arrangement, combining with the twin diesel engines for a top speed above 30 knots and the long range needed in the Pacific region. Built with survivability in mind, the ship features a stealthy hull and superstructure, a reduced radar cross-section, and infrared suppression measures. The Combat Information Center is heavily armored and located below decks, allowing the ship to continue fighting even after taking damage. The Combat Information Center's ergonomic design enables efficient command with a crew of just 10, part of a total complement of around 90, significantly lower than many legacy frigates. Like the Royal Navy, the Royal Australian Navy is struggling to recruit and retain personnel. Generating enough trained sailors for its growing fleet is a major issue. If the deal goes ahead, this would be Japan's first warship export and only its second major defense package sold abroad, following the delivery of radar systems to the Philippines. Japan has strongly committed to the export push, mobilizing all of government support to the project, with senior defense and industry officials emphasizing delivery reliability and strategic alignment with Australia. Mitsubishi's production line is already delivering 2 frigates per year to the Japanese Maritime Self-Defense Force and expects to scale up to 3 annually. The company will provide full intellectual property rights and long-term support for the Australian variant, enabling local sustainment over the ship's projected 40-year lifespan. Beyond industrial considerations, the choice of the Mogami signals a tightening strategic partnership between Canberra and Tokyo. As the Indo-Pacific becomes more contested, both nations are investing in naval deterrence, interoperability, and greater supply chain resilience. The export of a major surface combatant from Japan to a close regional partner is not just a procurement milestone, it is a symbol of shared intent in response to rampant Chinese military expansion. Australia's selection of the Japanese Mogami design for the next generation of general-purpose naval frigates is a welcome fillip for an aging Royal Australian Navy surface fleet. The Albanese government deserves credit for edging away from the repeated insistence across successive years that major warships be built in Australia. The first 3 Mogamis will be built in Japan. It seems Australia is also prepared to accept a more generic design without too many expensive add-ons, although the Australian Mogami design will still have some bespoke elements that create more risks for the project. The sale is being rightly marked as a breakthrough for Japan's defense industry. This is a big and prominent deal for a Japanese military-industrial complex which, while highly advanced, has never had export success on this scale. The temptation to draw far-reaching political conclusions should be resisted. Japan and Australia have been busy upgrading their defense relationship, so together with this deal, the two nations appear to be coming into closer alignment on tackling the China challenge. And what capability do the frigates offer Australia? Here the agreement has the potential to open some old lines of discussion. Australia's landmass is enormous, and its major ports widely dispersed, so preventing trade from entering or leaving would be a massively costly enterprise for an adversary. And what would be the objective? The underlying claim appears to be that Australia would capitulate politically if its trade was disrupted. But 20th century history tends to suggest that this kind of pressure has the opposite effect, producing a rally round the flag sentiment that makes government less likely to cave to the demands of aggressors. Following a rigorous and competitive tender process, Mitsubishi Heavy Industries' Mogami-class frigate was assessed as best able to quickly meet the capability requirements and strategic needs of the Australian Defence Force, the Australian DoD stated. The Mogami-class design had been competing against a bid by Germany's ThyssenKrupp Marine Systems, which had offered its MEKO A200 frigate design. Beyond the Mogami-class overall capabilities, key factors in the design being selected were a lower cost over the life of the program and the ability of MHI to ensure the ships are rapidly delivered, with Australian Minister for Defence Industry Pat Conroy stating, "This decision comes months ahead of schedule, reinforcing our commitment to deliver of capability at speed and at a lower overall cost to taxpayers. It makes good on our commitment to deliver 4 times as many warships in the next 10 years compared to the plan inherited by the former coalition government." The Australian government under Prime Minister Anthony Albanese wants the first general-purpose frigate to be delivered to Australia in 2029 and to enter service in 2030, with the third entering service in 2034. In order to make this happen, the first 3 ships will be built in Japan, with production then transferring to Austal in Western Australia.